Anyways,
easier.
all right, that's enough. I think we beat the horse into a mush of pulp and goop. So let's move on to something that boils my blood slightly less. Warhammer Plus. So they announced Warhammer Plus this weekend at the preview. Austin, seeing let's putting aside the distribution model. What do you think of the shows that they announced? What do you think of the actual content? First of all.
So I watched the trailer, video, teaser stuff, and like some of the animations look pretty cool. Like I'm a weeb, so I'm sure I'll watch the anime style looking one. But there's some of them that just kind of look like
Like a
I
reboot?
don't know, like 2000 and yeah, exactly.
I was like, this reminds me of reboot from like
CGI
the CGI or
thing
like
like
Beast
that.
Wars. I don't know if you ever watched Beast Wars as a kid or like
Oh my
I'm like, this
god,
reminds me
yes,
of like Beast Wars
I have to.
animation. This is bad. It's not good.
So bad. But now that you say that, I would love to see that whatever Big Hero 6 robot just turn into Beast Wars.
Yeah, that'd be funny.
But yeah, like the shows seem interesting. I'll watch the ones that I care about. Like I'm not particularly planning on watching every single one of them. Like if someone tells me that they're good, maybe buying this subscription service right when it comes out, I'm gonna do the Disney Plus and Crave method. Game of Thrones season 8, baby. I waited 2 months in or whatever till like there's 2 episodes left to come out until I did my subscription, so I only had to pay once or twice. Same thing with Mandalorian.
Well,
Like that's probably what I'm gonna do for this.
yeah, we'll talk about that in a sec.
If
We'll talk about it
anything,
in a sec. But any standouts for you? Any specific shows that like exciting for you? What do you think?
I like the look of the Admech one, but that's just mostly because I like
What's the AdMech
like the
one?
generic Space Marine or Blood Angels.
Um,
Um,
yeah. So I basically I'm just gonna go to it here.
yeah.
Preview. So I'm liking the look of some of them, as I mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually glad they're doing an AOS one. I'm excited for Black Talon, which is Justifies Knave Black Talon, the AOS hero. So I actually think that's cool. I'm obviously excited for Stardust 2 if it keeps the quality of the original Stardust. Exodite, man, I'm like I don't really care about the Tau. They're lame. Angels of Death seems like probably one of their highest production values, and they've been working on Angels of Death for a long time. So I'm really excited for that. And then Interrogator, I'm also excited for. The rest, I don't really know what to expect. Tri Nexus, I'm like, wait, I don't understand. Didn't we just have like a whole world? Like, yeah, I don't really know what it's about. But the one thing I will say, and I know this was animation, but I guess one thing that I guess I don't know why I was thinking we would see this, but a distinct lack of Eisenhorn live action, which I thought this would be more like I thought maybe we would get like something for like the live action show from Amazon, but I guess that's like a whole different thing.
It that like that sentence on its own is like weird. We're talking about Warhammer Plus, but we're also talking about a show that's going to be on Amazon.
Well, yeah,
That's not like maybe not going to be on Warhammer Plus.
yeah.
So
Well, so this is kind of why I think the crux of the issue is with Warhammer Plus. Ultimately, I think there's going to be two big issues with Warhammer Plus. The first is going to be amount of content, which is not going to be nearly enough. So for those of you that watch CGI animated shows, they actually have longer lead times, especially like say a 30-minute lead time, 30-minute animated show. Like so, I watch Clone Wars, Star Wars Clone Wars, and Bad Batch obviously is a new one. Those shows have like a 3-year lead time. So the time it takes to actually make a full season animation is around almost 3 years. That's the kind of lead times that are working with in most animations. Real live action actually has a much shorter turnaround time. That's why they're able to do seasons in like a year, right? But to give you an example, so Bad Batch is the new Star Wars animated show that just came out. I don't know if you're watching it, but they actually filmed. So I just found out they actually filmed the lady that plays Fennec Shan, which is like the sniper. She's in live action Mandalorian, and she actually filmed her scenes for the animation, which before the live action, which was released. Like that's how far
oh,
back she did her
that's
voice acting for it. She actually did that role.
crazy.
The animation drawing predates the physical live action drawing. That's how far back we're talking. And so like it's a very long lead time and it's a lot of work. And on top of that, oh what up my dog Jeff, how's it going? Welcome to the channel. Backpacking Ontario just subscribed, so give me a shout out to Jeff if he's there. So anyways, yeah, there he is in chat. So my point is that the lead times are really long. Plus, we're not talking about like an animation studio. We're not talking about a big animation studio like Lucasfilm, who's doing 30-minute shows every week. We're talking about like
Yeah.
two dudes that were doing a fan film that they hired and now have the support of, I don't know,
Is there
is there
even
a
a
huge
team?
in-house animation team, or is it two dudes that they've hired that are working out of their fucking basement producing animation for like it's not clear the size of this. It's not like, so these, I guess my point is each of these intellectual properties, they're not being made by an animation studio. A lot of them are fan made shows like a Stardays that were adapted, or they brought on these guys. But like, did they have like a full 200-person animation studios on standby waiting for these guys to be their creative directors? No, it's probably like, hey, make some more episodes of the show of yours and we'll make shows of it. But like, if you look at a Stardays, for instance, that guy was putting out like 45-second to 1.5 minute videos
Yeah.
like every like 4 months because he's a one man show,
Little clip.
right? So like,
Yeah.
so my question is like, how fast are they actually going to be able to produce content for this show? Because for me it seems like they don't have this full animation studio for each of these shows, and each animation is going to require its own studio, right? Generally, or its own
Oh,
whole
100%.
team. And B,
Easily.
even with that, it's still going to take a very long time to create this content. And so they've announced 12 shows now. They say it's going to be live in June. So are we going to get like 12 episodes, and then how long are we going to wait from the next episodes? Like, there's no way these shows are finished creating and it's going to be Netflix model. It'll be episodic for sure. I guarantee
No.
you. It won't be the Netflix model because they just don't have they're not going to have these shows would have had to have been in production 4 years ago for them to have a whole season of and we
Yeah.
know a lot of these collaborations they just announced like 7 or 8 months ago, right? When they so so my first concern is quantity of the content. But my second concern is distribution of the content, which is who the fuck outside of the Games Workshop ecosystem knows about GamesWorkshop.com and Warhammer Plus? Zero people. So it's like a
Yeah,
big circle
that's
jerk.
yeah, you're at that point you're kind of just like screaming into your own echo chamber. Like, here, you guys like this stuff already, like it more. Give me more money this way. Also, it's way too much stuff for them to announce like this. Like, realistically, like you're talking about how they only recently acquired these Astartes guys as an example. Um, like, drop one show, right? Like, pick your best fucking one that you got, get it ready. Twitch stream that happens once a week, and you can only access it if you are subscribed to them or follow them on Twitch, whatever the
Right.
payment version is. I think subscribing to them, and
Yeah.
then start that ball rolling. You know, you've got this Amazon Eisenhorn thing come out. Let that come out, right? Do that. Let that go out to the general population. You know, Eisenhorn's a cool character. It's like cool sci-fi stuff that'll connect with a general audience. And then once they're like, oh, what's that? Oh, it's a dude in power armor. Oh, content that's coming out soon for this, and I can watch it on their platform. Oh well, maybe once it comes out, I'll do that. Like, it's too much too fast, and I think they're just like completely jumping the shark with it.
Yeah, and like if you look at, say for instance, so I wouldn't even make it that complicated. Like YouTube right now, I can go to YouTube and I can click on, I'm gonna do it
Yep.
right now. If I go to explore, there is a little thing where I can basically go here we go. It's called movies and shows, and I can basically purchase on YouTube under movies and shows. I can buy or rent movies and shows
Mm-hmm.
on YouTube, and there's a cost. There's like a little dollar. So, for instance, I can watch Star Wars: Rise of Skywalker. Let me see here. How much is it going to cost me? It's going to cost me
About
to rent
zero
it. It's going
dollars.
to cost me. Let me see here. Oh, to
It's usually
rent.
like $3.99
It's
or
four
something
ninety
like
nine
that.
US. So I can rent it for four ninety
Yeah.
nine, in which case I just watch it, or I can buy it for 24.99. So Games Workshop could produce their one show, distribute it on YouTube or whatever on their
Mm-hmm.
existing, like they have Warhammer TV. They could put it on Warhammer TV through YouTube, sell it through there, and then
100%.
build up their catalog. And then once they have 10, 15, 20 shows, a few seasons of each, then you move to Warhammer Plus. Then you bring it all in and you
Oh
create your
yeah.
platform. But what they're trying to basically run before they can walk. They can barely make a fucking app that makes army lists. You're telling me they're going to make a streaming app? Like what planet
Yeah,
what planet are you on?
12 shows, one episode each. Okay, I can watch that in 3 days,
Like
right? Assuming
I
these
know
are
for a
all
fact some of the
not.
shows are not half an hour long, right? But
No,
let's say like on a let's say like let's give them the
20
let's say
minutes.
they are half an hour long, right? 12 shows is 6 hours. And they're
Yeah,
not going to be out every week. And I bet you some of those shows are going to be like 5 minute little shorts almost, right? So it's like so you've created this content I don't know service. You've put shows on it that are super short, not very much content, and you're also trying to launch your own streaming service exclusive with that content to within your own ecosystem. And I talked about this on the hobby chat last night, but like I always think of Dawn of War, and Dawn of War 1 was one of the greatest 40k games ever. And to this day, I still meet people that are into 40k. Some don't even actually play. They're into the 40k IP, whether it's video games, shows, whatever, because of Dawn of War. And there's a lot of 40k players I know that play 40k due to Dawn of War. And the reason they were able to get into it is because Dawn of War was produced by Relic Entertainment, which is a Vancouver company. What? And but it was published, I think, by like Electronic Arts. Like it was published by a big
yeah.
publisher, went out into the big video game ecosystem, and a lot of people that had never even heard of 40k got exposure to it, played a great PC game, and then were like, oh, and then you got in your little box. I remember getting like a little card, and it's like, here, go check out. It's like you could, I think it even gave you like a discount for models, but it was like go to gamesworkshop.com, check out the game, etc. So it was a gateway into that larger universe. But instead, it's like this whole thing is closed off, and imagine if Dawn of War 1, when it came out, the only way you could play it is if you were on gamesworkshop.com and you sign up for Games Workshop Warhammer PC, like Games Workshop's version of Steam, and you had to sign up for
Yeah.
Games Workshop's version of Steam, and the only place Dawn of War 1 is available was there. How many people do you think it would have brought into the hobby? Because everyone that was found it would have already probably
Yeah.
been involved. And
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Games Workshop, instead of looking at the big picture, the long picture, and saying, hey, we should be using these animations as gateway drugs into the larger universe of Warhammer by putting them on places like Amazon, by Hulu, HBO,
Oh
Netflix,
yeah.
right? These massive platforms with hundreds of millions of users, and then having those lead somehow back into the Games Workshop ecosystem, and then you got people playing the games, buying the models, reading the books. Like, hey, imagine watching the
Yeah.
Eisenhorn. So, really simple example: you watch the Eisenhorn TV show, right? Hey, guess what? There's actually a series of
Yeah.
books that goes along with this TV show that tells the
Yeah.
story of these characters in a different time. And there's also models of these characters from the TV show. And there's also a game that you can play with these models from that TV show. So all of a sudden, it's
Mhm.
like you've created fans for the TV show, and then there's all these other things where they can go and spend money in Games Workshop at Games Workshop. But instead, because you've kept it within this little ecosystem, sure, you're going to get
Yeah.
100% of those profits, but the total amount of subscribers is going to be so small. And the total amount of views and new people in the hobby to increase your sales overall is going to be so small. And so I just think it's a huge mistake. And I'm not a studio executive. I'm not like a streaming CEO of like whatever. But what I do know is if you Google right now, here I'm going to do it right now just to make my point. So, um, so I just Googled streaming services, and let's see here. I'm gonna just count them as I go down. Netflix, Amazon, Apple TV, Hulu, Paramount Plus, Disney Plus, HBO Max, Peacock, Discovery Plus, Showtime, Epix Now, Stars, Acorn, BritBox, Kakawa, MH Choice, Pantea, Spool, Shutter, ESPN, Night Flight, Shout Factory TV, Boomerang, DC Universe, BET Plus, Brown Sugar, Urban Movie Channel, Quelly TV, Fearless, PBS Passport, Smithsonian Channel Pass, Curiosity Stream, The Criterion Channel, Speed and Spark, Film Attack, Walters Presents, Movie, Music
Yeah.
Box Track. So on and on. I'm only halfway through the page. My point is, there are hundreds of streaming services right now, and you probably haven't heard any of those past the first three,
Yeah.
right?
No,
So
it's
it's like,
true. And
how
like,
are they going to create?
if you have, it's
Yeah, like how are they gonna bring people like? And guess what? Games Workshop Warhammer Plus is going to be at the fucking bottom of the barrel in the below the earth of that list.
yeah. I will say there's probably a few ways that they can make that kind of model work. a few of those streaming services you mentioned, like Stars, whatever, all that shit, you can buy those as additional add-ons
Right.
to your Amazon
Sure.
Prime Video account. So like that's one option they
And if they
probably
do
won't
that for
happen.
Warhammer Plus, I'll be like, guys, great. Like if Warhammer Plus was because I have Amazon Prime, I think, and I think I get
Yeah.
like some of those streaming services in built into
Well,
my Amazon Prime.
yeah, exactly. Well, if you open up your, let's say you whatever you have your Amazon Fire Stick, right? You turn that thing on, and there's Logan Grimnar just like holding some stupid Thousand Sun guy like up in the air. But yeah, oh that's cool. That looks like a neat sci-fi show. I think I'll check that out. The other way they could probably make it work to a degree is they have so many bloody mobile games. There's at least 20 of them out now. Just spam banner ads for Warhammer Plus
Right.
because that's like the only thing outside of your ecosystem. Like I know tons of people that don't give a shit about Warhammer is, but you bet your ass they play friggin' Imperial Knights on their phone fighting.
Well, the problem is like even given all of that,
Yeah, then maybe look.
even given all of that, I
Although,
still think at the end of the day they're not going to get the numbers. Or what's going to happen is this, just like you mentioned with Disney Plus, people are going to either pirate it because they're going to be like, oh, why am I paying? Like let's say the low ball, and I'll use the Warhammer app. I think the Warhammer app was $6.99 or $7.99 to start. So let's call it
mm-hmm.
$7.99. Let's say it was the same price as the Warhammer app, which is hilarious when you think about it. Because if you think they're charging $6.99 for the app and they're going to charge $6.99 for the streaming service, you're on drugs. Because given the differences in scope and work and cost investment. So, but let's give them the benefit of the doubt
Yeah,
and say they're going to charge $6.99 or $7.99 for the Warhammer Plus. The problem is I'm gonna look at that, and many people look at that and say, okay, so I'm getting 6 hours of content for $6.99. Or I have a Netflix subscription, and I think it's like around $18 because I have like the 4K HD version. Um,
yeah,
and it's like
yeah.
$18, and I have thousands and thousands and thousands of hours. And I have Prime for free because I have an Amazon Prime subscription, right? And so it's
And
like
you
between
cracked
those, that's
1%.
99.9%. And anything like for Stars, for instance, if there's like one show that I like on a streaming service, like for instance, and I'll be very honest with you guys, Star Trek Discovery I watch, but I don't want Paramount Plus, so I just pirate Star Trek Discovery because I don't want to pay for the service for one show. And that
No.
exact same thing is going to happen with Warhammer.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Don't call the police
There's
on
no
me.
doubt about it. Like
I'll come after you.
look at like every single thing GW has ever asks free PDFs online. Like it doesn't matter. Somebody's gonna find a way to make it
Yeah.
available for other people that don't want to pay
That's what
for
I'm
it.
saying. Like the
And
people, yeah, yeah. It reminds me of the whole Napster, Apple Music, where it's like the reason Napster sucked. Napster was popular and like LimeWire was popular, but when Apple Music came along and showed that
mm,
hey, if you actually make a service, a streaming service that's worthwhile for people, they will pay for it,
yeah,
right? And what oh, so I have a Spotify subscription, right? So I subscribe to Spotify Premium. All those songs that I could get, I could just download for free. But I pay my 13 or
yeah,
$14 a month to Spotify Premium because it's a
because
great
it's
service and it's worth the money that I pay. And I want to
agreed.
be able to pay those. I want to pay those companies that are doing good when they provide a good service and it's worth it. I'm happy to pay. Like take my money, please. But when it's a shitty service and it's like bad value, but I still want the thing, the content, that's what drives people to pirate. That's what drives people to like to make
Yeah.
create digital codexes. And so I think Games Workshop's actually going to lose a lot more money if they continue down this path of this model.
What if Games Workshop was just like they put out an article? It's like Warhammer Plus launching now. Also, exclusively, we have the rights to friends. Right? Like, they could do that, and that might work. People like friends enough to maybe
Yeah.
try Warhammer,
Oh my
but
god, no. I wouldn't get it on principle at that point. I'd be like,
I'm
I mean,
sorry,
if
I love it. Like,
I'd be like, now I'm definitely not paying for it if it's got friends on there.
look, I'll give it to GW. I love the like aspirations and stuff they have of expanding their IP, but they're doing it in a way that's not going to grow the general community. Like, sure, I'm sure they'll see, call it a 2% increase, because that to me is being realistic,
Right.
at least at launch, right? Maybe once they have a full
Well, what they're trading is like what they're
and
trading.
available.
Sorry, go ahead. Finish your thought.
No, no,
they're trading
The only other.
like short-term gains for like
Mhm.
the potential of massive growth in the long term, right? So
Yeah.
like yes, in that short term, you're going to get the fanboys that are going to sign up for Warhammer Plus. They're going to give you that injection of cash for signing up, and a lot of them will probably stay subscribed even though it's a shitty service, just like they do for the app, and will give you that money monthly, and that's going to be some small percentage of the current client base, but it's never going to grow because the service isn't going to be good, the content won't be enough, and it's not going to be good value. Or, and also it's not going to grow your existing player base of gamers that buy models, which is your bread and butter. Or
Yeah.
they could go play the long game and say, you know what, we're willing to now split the costs, or essentially split the profits with Netflix, Amazon, Hulu, whatever, by having our shows on those platforms. We're not going to make as much off each show, but in the long term, by having it on those platforms, there are going to be more views. So maybe in the end, they actually make the same amount. And B,
Yeah.
it's going to bring in a much larger audience into the Warhammer ecosystem, which is going to result
Hmm.
in a lot more profits overall, right? So you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
like it like
Yeah.
that for me seems like such a better business decision for them.
Now, I just had a really random idea pop in my head. So here's one way, GW. I know you're not listening, but you should totally do this. Is that Warhammer Conquest? Like 19.99 a month for this stupid streaming service, but just send me the Warhammer Conquest magazine of that month with the models in it.
You know, it'd be funny if it was like
Dude,
that's
that's
great. No, I was
crazy.
gonna say like, do you remember I don't know if you ever read PC Gamer as a kid. I used to buy
Oh
I used
yeah,
to
you get the
and
little
you get a
you get the
CD, you
little
get
demo
the
disc.
demo disc,
Hell
right?
yeah.
And you had like it was like 50 games and it was like the first level. Imagine if you're in your copy of like Warhammer Quest or Conquest, you got like a Blu-ray or I don't know, do people still use DVDs? I don't know. I haven't had an optical drive
Warhammer in
and
the
I
first
haven't had an
place.
optical drive player in like 30 years. So I don't know if it's Blu-ray or HD DVD or whatever. But like they're like, hey, you get a Blu-ray
Yeah.
of the episode every month in a like that'd be so funny. I'd buy that.
Yeah. But dude, that's okay. So I think back, I was 11. There was at one point a white dwarf. Now they do it now with the new releases, but that had like a dwarf model in it, and
Yeah.
I was like, "Fuck yeah!" I had no idea what Warhammer was, but there was something in that magazine, and you bet your ass I bought it.
Yeah, well, like back then too, like
Gamer,
as a
whatever,
kid,
PS,
a free
PlayStation
model was
magazine.
like oh my god, I've got to get the free model. I
Yeah,
remember when Tau came out. That's how old I am. They gave out Tau Fire Warriors. Like you could go into the store and
yo,
get a Tau Fire Warrior. That's how old I am.
those are expensive.
The plastic ones.
Some people,
And
yeah,
I remember being so hyped getting a free model. I was like, oh my god, I got a free model from Games Workshop, and I think I was like
a
14 or 15.
singular
A
model,
single
not a
free Tau
unit,
Fire
but a
Warrior, and I was so
singular.
hyped. And now they give them out at the stores every month. There's like a free model every month. Anyways,
Yeah,
I think
but
yeah,
yeah, like as ridiculous as that sounds, like you already have this subscription service within the UK, right? That sends out these models every month for a reasonable price. I don't know if it changes every month, but I'm pretty sure it's like under £15. So like call it under $30 Canadian for us. Just bundle it together, send them a little code, be like, oh, here's your magazine, here's a 1 month trial of whatever.
yeah. I think
Maybe they give out codes at this new like GT series that they're doing around the US. Maybe that's just in everybody's swag bags. Like, here's 3 free months on this, whatever, and 2 codes to give to your